Thank you for joining us on paranormalxl podcast. I'm Gigi and special co-host Ed from Ghost N Grub with me for episode 2 of Haunted Locations A through Z in the 50 states. Last episode we made it to letter C, Connecticut. That was a fun episode apparently because we only made
you get sidetracked, and and then I say, we definitely do, but I enjoyed that, not just the banter, but to kind of expand on each location. Is it something that we would investigate? Is it something you would investigate?
Absolutely. A lot of fun.
So yeah, no. It's very easy to get off track, but the fun part is that it's just more added content for you guys to see.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we are going to pick up on letter D.
Yes.
But poor little old Delaware over there. We got one instead of two.
There are things in Delaware. Obviously, there's a lot of haunted locations there, but Fort Delaware is one of the most prominent. People know it. So that's what we're going to start with next, guys, is Fort Delaware on our list here. So set on P. Patch Island, Fort Delaware served as a Union prison camp during the Civil War, housing as many as 12,595 soldiers, or almost 13,000 Confederate prisoners during the Civil War at one time, and it was in reportedly dreadful condition, so it wasn't exactly your Motel 6 for the time. Inmates had no beds, no water to wash with like Motel 6. Or were forced to sleep in the cold stone floors among vermin. So, definitely not the best conditions.
Don't break the law. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's basically it, right? Don't try to take over the country. Pretty simple rules. Fort Delaware was abandoned in 1944 and became a state park in 1951. I like the logic there. This was a prison. It was horrible. You know what? It's time to bring the families in. Let's make it a state park.
Let's involve everybody.
Yeah, right? But its dark history has made it a popular spot for paranormal enthusiasts. The dungeons where the prisons were held is said to be a particularly active spot. Each October, Diamond State investigators host a paranormal hunt through the fort.
You had me at dungeons.
Right. There's no dragons in this one, and there's probably less make-believe, but I'm sure that it will not disappoint. Obviously, just joking about the whole hotel thing. I mean, it's horrible what happened there.
Well, absolutely.
There's a fort that's very similar to this story up in Massachusetts. But I think we actually talked about the lady. Actually, this lady's not in white. This lady's in black, and I think it's on the list. Once we make it there.
There.
But yeah.
All right.
Cool. Moving on.
If I ever get to Delaware, it's really not on my bucket list, but if I ever do,
right,
try to visit that place in the dungeon.
Well, the historical significance of the state, and it kind of
absolutely.
It kind of helps. If you're going to do a theme on like the Civil War, which we are it's a must do.
Hold on, making notes.
Yeah, it just all connects between Gettysburg down to Georgia to Kennesaw Mountain, all the way up to Bunker Hill, right? And the fight up that way. So it's kind of cool to have all the way where it started up top. Now, obviously there were fights up there, but not like the colonial fight that was up there. But
right.
But yeah, all the way down the East Coast. It's pretty cool history. But yeah, if you want to do a haunted trail, definitely you got to include Delaware.
Most definitely. So let's go to Florida now because that's probably a warm state right now.
Yeah, right.
So St. Augustine Lighthouse, completed in 1874 and still active to this day, the St. Augustine Lighthouse is said to be haunted by several former keepers and their families. The most famous ghosts of the lighthouse are two young sisters, Eliza and Mary, who drowned in the nearby water. Their laughter can supposedly be heard at the top of the tower late at night, while Alyssa, has been spotted on the grounds wearing the same blue dress she died in. For paranormal enthusiasts, the Dark of the Moon tour takes visitors inside the lighthouse lower tower. Oh my gosh, Sarah, get your words together. And the keeper's house at night. So now we have a girl in blue.
Right. So white, black, blue. Okay. I don't see a theme here. But but unfortunately, it just seems to be tragically what they were wearing when they were deceased. I have heard of the St. Augustine Lighthouse. St. Augustine, like Savannah, Georgia, is up there as one of the most haunted locations in America, if not the world. I believe for a period of time, it has been known as the most haunted city in America. But then again, Savannah gets that title back and forth. So I guess it really just on who you're talking to.
Yeah, that is true. Because I've heard like on a lot of other podcasts and just groups and stuff that if you're just meeting a group, say Augustine is actually, it's got to be at least brought up one time in a conversation.
Yeah,
when
it,
you're
it
talking.
does.
To
You've
other-
got New Orleans, Salem, Savannah, St. Augustine, right? Those are like your main hubs that you hear of. Of course, you get your other stuff out west every now and then.
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch thrown in there, but these are the main ones that you hear of.
Yes.
So keeping to Florida, but going a little bit further south, we're going to head down to Key West. Yes. So in Key West, Fort East Martello Museum. Key West Fort East Martello Museum is home to the OG Maccabee Florida man. I believe I'm misspelled, but Robert the Haunted Doll.
Don't read that next one.
Yes.
Because that was way off.
Okay, no worries. Robert was a gift given to the late artist Robert Eugene Otto. As a boy, Otto would blame the doll for all sorts of mischief, but the whole thing morphed from a cute little cabin of hobbies riff into something far more sinister. Some say the raggedy weather little sailor doll is cursed. Like a potato. He's reported to change facial expressions from time to time. Oh my God, can you imagine?
No, there's so much I want to say to this.
Yeah, and some say he'll let out little giggles and say that he'll cause endless pain and suffering to people who disrespect him by taking his photo, which sucks because, the centerpiece of the museum is him. So how would you approach that? That one we can only spend time on. So obviously you're dealing with an attachment here of some sort.
Well, we actually covered this when we did the episode of possession or oppression.
Okay.
So with items being possessed, that's something obviously inside of it. The oppression just means essentially that there's like residual energy attached to it. So there is a difference. As far as Robert the Doll goes, the doll keeper for him is actually on Scared and Alone with Courtney. I want to say that now I'm like, ugh. Now when I did my research for that, because I delved into this just because, I like Chucky, because they said that was, I'm looking for my words, loosely based off Robert the Doll, essentially.
Yeah, and actually he was and I don't want to name the show, but everybody will know what I'm talking about. Robert the Doll was taken onto this very, very famous investigator show because he has a museum. And they did have an episode where they brought him there and sat him down and put him on national television, Robert the Doll. And yeah, he is, and I am, like I said, I'm familiar with it. He is known as the OG for the inspiration of Chucky.
Yes. See, yeah. I'd like to get his caretaker on here and talk to him sometime. So I need to get on that just because of the history of the doll and
yes,
the plantation that he actually came from down there, like the house, and they put him in the attic. I'm like trying to go back in time. Because all the notes I have on that, and I wish I would have grabbed them. Maybe we can come back to that sometime.
It would be cool. He's definitely the center point of a lot of things in cinema, and a lot of people don't know the backstory of Robert the Doll or Chucky, excuse me. And that's really it. But yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was he was given to the little boy, but it was a gift from like a nanny, like a slave nanny from back in the day, but she did not like him. So it was said to be like she cursed the doll to haunt the boy.
So you might not even be dealing with an attachment then. I mean, it's an attachment, but it was never of human origin.
Right. And that's what I'm guessing, since it's never really crossed over or left it and people just get the heebie-jeebies from it.
Yeah. Getting even the heebie-jeebies talking about it.
Yes. We should definitely do an episode together about the haunted dolls, because we were just talking about that, maybe starting a new fad.
Those potatoes haunted.
Damn potatoes.
There was nothing left to possess or to attach to. I was in Idaho. I'm a spirit, and I've got a field full of potatoes. What are my options here?
Well, you could go over to Iowa and get attached to corn.
Right. Oh God. So
many man. We need to stop.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to Georgia, my dear, where I'm from, and we'll start off at one of my favorite locations here. And then there's actually 2 cemeteries here that we got on our list. So you take the first one. I'll grab the second one.
Oh no, I don't
Oh
know how to
no.
pronounce that. I'm like,
Uh,
is it Bonaventure Cemetery?
yes, Bonaventure Cemetery. Correct.
Sweet. So it was featured on the best-selling novel Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yes.
The Bonaventure Cemetery in Savannah is hauntingly beautiful with its stately trees, lush Spanish moss, and Gothic-styled tombstones. Visitors have reported paranormal activity in the cemetery for years. Some say that the statue of a girl named Gracie, who died of pneumonia at age 6, cries tears of blood at night. Others claim to have heard sounds of children playing, with no children in sight, or to have seen statues smiling or grimacing at them.
So I can account for the children. Being there maybe about a month and a half ago, just working on things for Ghost N Grub and going around.
Right.
I did hear children out there, and there's no children in sight. You hear kids playing. There's no kids there. There's no playground there.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't normally just see kids.
Yeah. And the other thing too was it was later in the afternoon, so we're talking about activity in daylight.
Yes.
Right. And it is hauntingly beautiful. It is a really a picturesque cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
But you had the yellow plague, the yellow fever that went through there. So there's a lot of history to Savannah.
Yes.
That I was not aware of. Especially during that time. A lot of people that were still alive were thrown into mass burial pits that are now their corpse around there. So they were buried alive because they were going to die anyhow, but still, instead of being cared for, there's no way to care for them. They were buried in mass burial grounds around like Forsyth Park and so forth, as legend goes. So I can't confirm that, but again, I've heard that story more than once. But the activity would point to that being more along the actual side.
Even itself out, yeah.
Right, wow. Exactly. So moving to something a little closer to downtown Atlanta, we're going to go to the Oakland Cemetery. It was built in 1850. Atlanta's Oakland Cemetery is the oldest, largest cemetery and among the most haunted places in Georgia. It is home to Maynard Jackson, Bobby Jones, and Margaret Mitchell, among many others. The cemetery includes a Confederate branch where visitors insist they've seen uniformed soldiers wandering the grounds and even hanging off the trees. Creep in as far as you dare, but be warned. Some have alleged that they have heard Confederate Army rolls calls among the tombstones and sworn that their name was called among the list. You're getting drafted into the Ghost Confederate Army.
I could think of other things I'd rather be doing. No offense to anywhere around, but I'd say I'd have to turn around and go get in my car and probably leave.
So you're going to pull in an about face?
Yeah, I'd probably pass out, honestly.
Yeah, you hear that. It's I actually never knew that story. That's actually pretty cool. And that's 30 minutes from me right now.
Oh, wow.
It'd be cool to check out. That is very, very cool. Yeah. So you're going to go into another warm weather climate here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hawaii. So, I'm really bad at words that are hard. Waipayo? What'd you say?
It's a Waipahu or Waipayu.
Waipayu? Okay. Mm-hmm. Waipayu Valley on the Big Island. Hawaii is home to, Fairy Lewis, where island dancers welcome you with pounding drums, native chants, and blazing torches, all of which are awesome when those dancers are actually alive. Oh, just creep myself out. Not so awesome when they're ghosts of ancient warriors marching through the islands armed to the teeth. But those are the night marchers, legendary spirits who roam the islands in the eternal march to battle. Most longtime locals have stories about encountering them, mostly in specific spots spread throughout the islands. The creepiest is the Waipahu Valley on the northern shore of Hawaii. Though the park has some of the most scenic lookouts in the state, the pounding beats and chants of the night marchers echo especially loudly through the valley when the night marchers decide to join you for a hike.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It is. And it's not surprising. And I say that just because, like, Hawaiians, they're very, like, I'm being stereotypical here, I think, but they're more on the spiritual level as far as, like, the universe goes.
Mm-hmm.
Just from watching, when they do the dances and stuff, they're very ritual type of people. So to me, that really, I think that would be kind of cool to be able to experience something like that. I don't think it would necessarily scare me, just because I do believe that the energy that they put out just as Hawaiians themselves and doing their rituals and whatnot, that they're keeping that, I'm going to say, that energy alive of those beat drummers and stuff, and the chants and the night marchers
Right.
alive, essentially. I don't know. I probably
Right.
sound like a crazy person right there, but
No, I mean, if take a look at, The Rock and, how spiritual he is, even at his level of
Mhm.
fame. He's very centered with who he is being Samoan,
Mhm.
right? And his
Yes.
family and so forth. So you can imagine if you grace that to the next side, that really wouldn't change at all. That doesn't sound crazy at all. So we have another plantation village in Hawaii on the Waiapu on the island of Oahu. Reconstructs life on Hawaii sugar plantations from the 1850s to 1950s. So, on the 25 structures of the plantation, some original, some replicas, about half are said to be haunted. There is a ghostly young girl in a Portuguese house, a choking ghost in the Onikawan house, and another doll, that wanders from its case in the Puerto Rican house. Each October, the plantation is transformed into a haunted attraction, and with costume actors who aren't allowed to work in the buildings by themselves due to the property's paranormal activity.
Where
This
do we sign up at?
right? That's pretty cool.
Yes. I'm like, yes. The only thing they're
Wahoo.
missing is a
That one is definitely
potato.
going to be on the list.
That would be awesome.
That is definitely on the list. Okay. So
Interesting.
Huh.
Oh, it's my turn again, right?
it is. It is.
Idaho. I actually went there
Yeah.
on vacation 2 years ago.
Okay.
My husband's family's from out there. Yes. And you know how we had the conversation about potatoes?
Yeah.
Whenever his mom would come and visit, she'd bring me like these little pins and they'd be potatoes. She'd be like, I brought you another pin from Idaho.
You can't make this up. I know.
I'm like, thank you. I needed another one. Love it so much. But anyway, so we're going to go to Old Idaho Penitentiary. The Old Idaho Penitentiary in Boise was built in the late 1800s by its prisoners themselves, which makes sense, who mined nearby sandstone quarries to build the walls. The penitentiary closed in 1973 after inhumane conditions led to riots among the inmates, but its structures remain intact and are reportedly ripe with paranormal activity. Five House, the building where notorious inmate Raymond Allen Snowden, also known as Idaho's Jack the Ripper, was executed, seems to be the most active. Old Idaho Penitentiary is open daily for tours. Why didn't I go there?
I don't know. Admission is 3 potatoes.
Probably is.
Just saying.
That's crazy. But for like the Idaho, could you, okay, first of all, being known as Idaho's Jack the Ripper.
That's not funny.
know.
I mean, people lost their lives, but
they did. But to go down in history with that name,
yeah.
I'd be like, just call me Raymond.
What do? He attacked us with potatoes.
I know.
Well, I need to look.
We got potatoed to death.
I don't know, like cause of death potato.
Bye, potato.
All right. So we're moving over to Illinois to the McPike Mansion. Perched over the town of Alton atop its highest point, Mount Lookout Park historic McPike Mansion is a hotspot for paranormal investigators who claim to feel the presence of its original owners, Eleanor and Henry McPike, as well as the residents some believe to haunt dates back to before the house was even built, with detections of Native American ghosts and a residue from a possible Underground Railroad stop. Overall, more than 11 spirits have been experienced throughout the home. Alton, considered one of the most haunted small towns in America, and other eerie spots include a Confederate prison, because why not, and a school and a church at this location.
All makes sense.
I mean, I just seem to be getting the Confederate soldier stuff here lately on these Confederate prisons. Maybe we need to do a
past life regression with you.
Yeah.
You're like, no.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm like,
I'm sad to say this. I have heard of the town, but I didn't know it was this active, especially on that
Right.
list, like we were mentioning before.
Hmm. That's why making up this list and going through and doing their different research of what different authors pinned as the most haunted location. So I was like, well, some of these people are just going to assume and it's going to sound boring or whatever. But that's why I wanted to pick out ones that were new and newish that you don't hear a lot about on all the shows and programs that are already out
Right,
there.
right. Makes sense.
So
So we're still staying in Illinois.
yes, we are. So
Yep.
I've been by this prison a few times. So my daughter
Not in
used to
it
live
though.
in Iowa. But what's that?
Not in it though.
No. No, absolutely not. So it's Old Joliet Prison. So this
Okay.
Gothic castle-like prison complex was once the involuntary home of notorious murder clown John Wayne Gacy and serial killer Richard Speck. I had to get a deep breath in there. There were riots and slayings, executions, and other maladies that made this place Midwestern Oz between 1856 and 2002, when it closed and sat abandoned for nearly 2 decades. It's now reopened for tours, paranormal or otherwise, and sometimes hosts events like movie screenings. Blues Brothers was famously filmed here. Even without the hauntings, the place would be a top-tier creepy place to go through its potential serial killer specters. And bleh, you've got a recipe for nightmares. Wow, I butchered that sentence, and I apologize
It's
for
okay. We can
that.
save it because if you got a recipe for nightmares, you just got to add a dibble of potato.
just, a,
Just
just a little tater.
the Idaho Jack the Ripper in there.
Oh my god, see, I'm gonna wait. I do have my highlighter because I love the true crime stuff, and that was something I want to get back
It's
into.
something we can talk about. I for some odd reason I'm just fascinated with it. I don't know why.
It is, and a lot of it comes down to like the psychology part, or at least for me with the true crime stuff. Because Courtney and I did True Crime XL for a while. The issue with that is you get yourself into these rabbit holes, and it messes with your mind to realize that somebody thought of some of these horrific crimes that they have did. Like,
Right.
what would possess somebody to even picture something gruesome like that?
Nothing but potatoes around me
And
every
it's
day.
just potatoes.
I just
And
saw.
if I don't like
snapped.
you, you're gonna get a tater right in the face.
Yeah, and it was the line when I went to McDonald's. Do you want to supersize your fries? And I lost it.
I freaking lost it. Flip the table right there. Yeah, that would be a prison to go to. I think for on a couple different. We could do a lot of research at that location.
That's actually very cool.
Um,
So we are moving to Indiana. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're at the Story Inn. Imagine it's a hotel, bed and breakfast, I'm assuming. Built in 1851, the Story Inn is the only structure still standing from the small mining town of Story, which went defunct during the Great Depression. Restored in the 1960s, it now serves as an inn as a quaint bed and breakfast. Called it! With residents' goats for years, visitors have documented their ghostly encounters in the inn's guest books. Namely, the Blue Lady. Again, we're at white, black, and blue still.
Yes.
Thought to be Dr. George Story's wife. She's said to appear if you turn on a blue light in one of the rooms above the restaurant. If you smell cherry tobacco, it's her favorite. She's already come and gone. So she's left ghostly fart residue.
Yeah.
And if you shine a blue light or turn a blue light on upstairs, she will appear.
But have they tried potatoes?
I'm just saying. Potatoes are the answer. You know what a bottle of condensed potatoes is? Vodka. I know how
You're
I'm doing
a genius. I know.
How we're doing this is purely scientific.
It is science. Yay, science. Love science. That is great. So next, Indiana. So the haunted bridge in Avon, Indiana is packed with enough haunted inns and estates to pack a whole town. Well, imagine that. But for a little skin crawling outside a big city, head to the sleepy bedroom community of Avon, home to one of the nation's creepiest looking haunted bridges. The decrepit looking concrete railroad span looks as old as the pyramids and sports an undeniably sinister air, especially if you drive beneath it at night. If you care to park and poke around, locals say you might encounter the ghost of a weeping woman whose child was killed on the railroad tracks, or a drunken worker who fell off into a load of wet construction concrete and was entombed in the bridge itself. But even if you're just driving through, you're likely just to get the chills. Ta-da.
He drank one too many potatoes.
I did. Stuck a straw right in it.
Oh my God. I can't, can you imagine that? That is a horrific death because you're still conscious for a few minutes.
So have you ever been to Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so have you been up to the Mackinac Bridge?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's a lot of people buried in the construction of it. You'd need at least 2 weeks up there with all the forts and the history and the haunted history there.
Right.
You guys should probably do some episodes up there.
That's generally what it's been taking, is 2 weeks at one location to get everything done and said, right? Because all of the, what I'd like to do an episode, with you on Ghost N Grub to talk about what it takes to investigate a location, the equipment breakdown, the research that goes. Yeah, I mean, what is point A to point B, and what is 1 through 100? What are the steps does it take to become a paranormal investigator? How do you investigate it? What do you do? Like, how do you find the history of the places? These are the things that I believe that aren't really uncovered, right? I mean, they'll see us there walking around our devices. Is there anyone here? I heard someone. Potato.
Yeah.
Right?
People do that. Are you serious? I've never seen anybody do that. Sarcasm, insert sarcasm here.
So, but there's a lot more that, being I consider it in the scientific community, to bring relevance to it and why we do what we do, because then it starts painting a story. Absolutely. And then you see it all come together at the end. And that really, the end is the investigation. It's not the beginning. So now it's something we have to do because, we talk about something like Mackinac Bridge, or we talk about the bridge in Avon. A lot of history there. I would love to talk to the locals. We want to get old vintage footage of and things of that nature, So
absolutely.
No, so we are moving. I'm a big foodie, hence Ghost N Grub, and I think Kansas. I think barbecue. Right?
Wait, we forgot an I.
And did I forget an I?
Yeah, I don't think you have it in your notes, so because I have notes stapled to the back of mine, and
You cheated. I see what you did here.
Because we forgot Iowa.
I did not. I'm going by my list.
I just realized that I had some stapled to the back. I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you that. Because when I was doing it, when I type up my notes, I use Google Docs. And sometimes, if my wrist hits something different, it, messes everything up. And I did not realize it until I already had it printed off. And I have, I think, a total of, 56 pages total. And I'm I am not going through all that again and, retyping. So... But I will go over the Villisca Axe Murder House.
Okay.
Which is also a complete episode from the past of Paranormal XL. So it is located in the small town of Villisca. This unassuming house was the site of one of the most gruesome crimes in Iowa history. In 1912, 6 members of the Moore family, as well as 2 overnight guests, were murdered in their sleep. To this day, the crime remains unsolved. Restored to its 1912 condition, the house is now open for daytime tours and even overnight stays by reservation. Visitors have reported a bedroom door opening and closing on its own, mysterious sensations of pinching and shoving, and unexplained cold chills. Now, I was keeping these little blurps smaller, but from doing the research, when we did a full episode on the Villisca Axe Murder House, because it does tie into the paranormal community. People love going there, investigators. Right. A few years back, there was an investigator. He went there by himself. He had committed suicide there in the upstairs bedroom.
So, that's something where paranormal activity and true crime cross over. It's almost like an episode of X-Files if you think about it.
Absolutely.
That's really where that goes. It's do we look at this person's history? Can we get medical records? Has anything been diagnosed? Anything of that nature? And then do the investigation alone. It's
an absolutely insane location, and to learn about the history of it, both parts of it, the paranormal part, and down to just the history and true crime part, because that is one of the places that Courtney and I have vowed to make sure if one of us goes, we both go together. So It's been on both of our bucket lists to go to, and it's actually fairly cheap to get in for an overnight investigation.
Well, maybe we can collab and do it between
most XL definitely.
Paranormal. Yeah. Scared and Alone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be so great. Because it's only an 8-hour drive from where I am. But I used to drive to Iowa all the time to see my daughter. So, yeah, to be able to go there and experience everything that's in there, it's overwhelming. I think 'cause I even just get like an overwhelming feeling talking about it or thinking about it. And then going back to the pictures that I have seen. One thing, like if you go overnight, and if you as listeners and viewers are thinking about doing it, they do like you have to bring like your own bedding if you plan on actually sleeping there. There are beds and stuff, but you're not allowed to.
There's going to be no
go in
sleeping.
them.
There probably won't be any
That's
sleeping.
what I said. I was like,
I'm not sleeping.
in this,
I was gonna be like, good night, or good night, good night. Good night.
yeah.
Oh.
I've never slept so good as I did right now in this axe murder house with my potato next to me. Like,
Yeah, and yeah, he's over there with his axe in the corner. Yeah, you're gonna sleep real good.
yes, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No.
It's definitely yeah, we should look into doing that and really delve deep into the history of the house and the
Let's make a date. Seriously, let's make a date. Make it
for
happen.
sure. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, can I get back to my list now? Or are there any more eyes left?
No, that was it for eyes. However,
Haunted iPhone.
do you have 1K or 2Ks? Or for Kansas, sorry.
I thought myself I was going to say something. I do not have more than 2Ks. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
Giving me the
Yeah.
Confederate rundown, trying to get me in trouble here.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, all right. There you go.
This episode took a turn for the weird.
Yeah. All right. So Kansas, I have Kansas, and then I've got Kentucky.
Okay, so I have another stapled one of Kansas.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll take this one, and then you take the one that you've got.
I'm so sorry. We'll get caught
It's
up
all
after
good.
the next
All right.
one.
So, like I said, when I think Kansas, I like. There's a place called Jack's. I know they're kind of mainstream, but they do really good smoked wings there, and I love the food there. My God, do I love the food there! All right. So, Stull Cemetery, located in Kansas. Locals know this tiny cemetery in a unincorporated Kansas township as the portal to hell, that the devil comes through twice a year.
Only twice.
As outlandish as that sounds, the ruins of a nearby church and the bizarre architecture will have you half believing the rumors. No satanic sightings have been confirmed, and anyone caught trespassing into the private cemetery can face up to $1,000 fine. But that only makes it more appealing. Dared for the jumpy teens and the courageous stoners looking to make their next trip twice in this person's case, apparently.
Sorry.
So, I was listening to an episode last night, and I'm not going to discredit them at all, but when you start off, my first sighting that I had is when I took some shrooms, and it only happens when you take shrooms. I don't think that leads any credibility to what you're trying to say. I'm listening to the show. They're like, yeah, and this other couple took some shrooms, and then they said they saw it. Okay.
Yes, but I agree with you because I'm on the same wavelength, obviously. But when you look at the big picture of things, so let's talk about like Native American rituals that they do.
Oh, the warrior ritual.
And they smoke like their peace pipe, or they take some weird stuff, but it causes them to hallucinate, and that's how they find like their spirit animal or stuff like that. Like some people really like that's I guess their practice. Is it weird to us? Yeah, just because it's something that we wouldn't do. But as far as crediting, it is hard to bring what we do as far as bringing in the science part of it. You can't really bring the science into that to help bring the facts out like what we try to do when we investigate. Does any of that make sense?
No, it does entirely. It does because, then you're going to get a lot of skeptics saying, obviously, you're hallucinating on drugs or on something you shouldn't have been eating or
a bad tater.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Actually, that would happen. I've watched a squirrel trip on fermented nuts before. I legitimately it would eat, and then what it would do is go half the tree, fall back down, but his back legs will keep locked into the tree, and he's just hanging there, and then he'll go back over, and then you'll just see him sway, and that's because he ate fermented nuts.
Wow.
It's a thing. I never thought it was a thing. But they get drunk. They trip out.
That is great.
Yes. I still have pictures, by the way, and I will send those to you. Because this was a moment we needed to document. Okay, so you got the next one.
Yes. Okay. Next, Kansas. Sally House. Once the home and office of a physician, the Sally House in Aitchison is said to be haunted by a 6-year-old girl who died on the operating table during a botched I'm assuming that's something to do with the appendix. Oh, you can't see the word I'm looking at. So a botched surgery.
Okay.
Tony and Deborah Pickman, a couple who rented the house in the 1990s, claimed that a ghost frequently attacked Tony, leaving the visible scratches on his back, chest, and arms, though she never harmed Deborah or their baby. Tours and overnight stays are now available at the home. Known as the most haunted town in Kansas, Atchison is a popular destination for paranormal enthusiasts and also offers cemetery tours, haunted trolley rides, and ghost hunts. Huh. So I wonder if... Okay, so I have a theory. So the little girl, let's say she was haunting Tony and Deborah. Oh my God, I haven't even had any potatoes today. Yeah, it's still early. So maybe...
I'm glad this is sticking.
It's great. I'm telling you, we're going to start something here. Like if she thinks all men are that doctor that botched her surgery. And that's why she's mean to them and not hurting like the wife and the baby. Huh. Interesting. Should we leave off there maybe?
Entirely up to you. Yeah, we can start on the great state of Kentucky on our next episode. 50 states most haunted lotions on your list. Yay. So great stuff. Great locations.
Yes, always fun.
I know like 3 of them that we're not just saying this to say this, but like the one in Iowa, we have to investigate that.
Yes.
Once this podcast is done, actually I want to look at see what the cost is, and let's set a date and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, it's an easy drive for me to do. Obviously you guys would probably fly out, same with Court, but it's going in Iowa and where it's located. There's also other locations because Joliet really isn't that far from there, maybe 3-4 hours to the prison. So,
well, if it's an 8-hour drive, wouldn't you want to fly? No,
I'm a Michigan gal, man. We drive everywhere.
I know.
Right. I drive in my sleep. Probably shouldn't be saying that on air, but whatever.
So you drive while you're sleeping?
I do.
Noted.
It's crazy.
Noted. I'm going to take an Uber when I get up there. Thanks.
You're gonna be like, Courtney, when you get up there, do not let her drive.
Yeah. Just take.
My aunt actually volunteered to do all the driving for us tomorrow.
That's really nice.
Oh God, so nice. Because we're just gonna hug and cry and I was like, we only got like 24 hours. You guys gonna revert
back to teenagers? Mom, can we go here? How long can we stay? Be sure to be here to pick you up in time.
That's exactly what it's gonna be like.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna check out any locations there?
And she's flying into Detroit. I know there's like a ton of locations. They are actually, because this will be out after this episode, they booked her at the Stimson Hospital.
Okay.
So we will be going there. I think Auntie and I will be sitting out in the vehicle. I know they said something about trying to bring me in somehow, whether it be on the live stream, like outside type of thing, so Courtney could be in there by herself or whatever. I hear amazing stories from that location. It's down by the Battle Creek area here in Michigan, so it's kind of on the other side of the state from Detroit, but an amazing place. I think it's going to be probably one of her top 2 or 3 places that she's been to with everything that she will experience there. So it'll be a good watch for sure. So make sure everybody to keep watching Scared and Alone forever and ever for our faves.
Yeah, I think that last one she did at the Emery house, her last episode.
You
guys know we're all personal friends, and I contact her after the show, and not just because of the show, but she put a short video when she was in the car, and she was still shaking. When I was talking to her, even the next day, she's still shaking, and went over that. So I think me and the team want to get up there to the Emery house and to do our overnight. But I think we're going to bring a seismograph with us because none of our audio apparently or the videos didn't pick up any of the shaking in the house. Mm-hmm. So I want to bring what equipment we can bring in there to see if we can document this shaking and what's happening. And then we get the dragging on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was knowing her the way like we know her or whatever, watching that episode, there was so many things I know she was experiencing that she didn't even get a chance to say because everybody else on the show was doing what they're supposed to do. But you could tell by her facial expressions. I'm like, okay, girl, just go, just get out of there. But there was one part where Haley had said she's seen something move across her in that back room when she was in the chandelier room.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that too, because I like almost like flipped over my computer screen when I was watching. I was like, oh, I got my headset on. I'm watching it. Everybody else in the house is watching, I think, The Monk or whatever on TV. And
Yeah,
I'm all, I seen it too. I seen it too. Like, it was just crazy. And then I was like, I can't watch no more because now I'm too scared.
Yeah. No, I want to take a look at that again. And you're going to see in tonight's premiere episode for our stuff, we picked up so much more in post-editing that it freaked us out. We picked up EVPs that we didn't pick up before.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're going to see where, I'll give a little sneak peek here. Obviously it's going to debut after the videos come out. So this is really for you. Is we were warned when we were down there, and we didn't know it, but it became evident after post editing that we saw what was happening. So we can't wait to go back to that location in May.
Yes. That happens a lot. Actually, I'm like, okay, I have like 862 different microphones. I have this ungodly obsession with them. But I'm like, why aren't I taking these on some of these investigations? Because like this Yeti, it picks up everything. I got like 4 different things, dials that I can go to that intensify and what it's getting. Like it almost rattles like when my heat kicks on or my water's running from the other side of the house. So I know it's picking up so much other things. So I was like, next time I go on an investigation, I'll probably take my computer itself.
There's 2 recorders that I have on the way because I love spending money. Are by Zoom, and there's one of them that is a 360 degree recorder that we are going to start leaving that with static cameras, video cameras, and put it in the center of the room because we're finding out that, again, another sneak preview, we got a woman walking across the floor, and you guys probably heard or seen this, and it's while we're upstairs, and you can hear high heels, like clear as day.
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
One of our cameras that were down there, the static cheap camera, it's like $40 on Amazon. It's what I bought it. It's in a hard case, so the microphone is muffed, and you really can't hear anything. That's how loud these footsteps were. You could hear it even in that camera. I left our recorder down there, so we left that there. But yeah, that 360 degree thing is pretty cool, especially with virtual reality coming out to a thing. If we can get the whole thing, you can be able to do investigations, not just from home, but for the viewing experience, be able to look left and right and be able to hear the footsteps or listen to these EVPs.
That would be sweet.
And where they're coming from. Yeah, just a little bit of a taste of what we're working on.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Cool.
We're going to shut up now. Go eat our taters. So, why don't you say how they can contact you first before I go through mine? Yeah,
absolutely, guys. So we are Ghost N Grub. You can find us on Instagram and our brand new YouTube page. So literally Ghost space on YouTube. It's Ghost space N space Grub, and you'll find us there. Or Ghost N Grub on Instagram is the easiest way. Or you could, if you have any questions and want to get in contact with us directly, you can do that on Instagram or email us at info@ghostngrub.com or ghostngrub@gmail.com would be the easiest. Yes.
Yeah. And I also try to share as much as I can all your stuff as well. So
likewise,
if you guys see it on that, click on it. Go check out all their stuff because you don't want to miss out. And thank you again for listening to paranormalxl podcast. You can email the podcast at paranormalxl@writeme.com. Remember, stay kind, stay humble, and don't yuck someone else's yum.
Ever.
This